This is the loudest snow I've ever heard in my life.
Good morning, everybody. It is not yet time for snow, but it won't be long, right? Especially if you live in Colorado or Wyoming or the Dakotas, or you visit people that live there. Um, soon it will be upon us. So it's exciting. Okay. Um, there are so the title of this video this morning today is things that make Amanda Bearden smile. Now I'm being a bit facetious, but you guys already know that about me. Um, but there was some interesting. There have been some interesting developments in the Debbie Collier case, um, starting Thursday, and included in the you know updates that we find out about the investigation into basically what was the disappearance and then ultimate death of Debbie Collier. It appears that the daughter, Amanda Bearden, it appears that well, she reacts to things in a very strange and unusual way. Okay. Now, we've already been questioning that she gets this cryptic. Well, maybe it wasn't a cryptic message to her. I contend from the beginning of this that she knows exactly who they, quotation marks, THEY, who they are. She knows who they are. When she gets the message, they won't let me go. Love you. Keys, in the blue pot. Amanda Bearden, I believe, knows, absolutely hands down, knows who Debbie Collier was talking about in that message, or did Amanda send the text? Yes. Now you're going, are you crazy? Didn't you see the parking lot footage? What are you talking about? I did see the parking lot footage. If you go over to Rabid Dog's channel, and I hope one of the mods will put a link to Rabid's channel, please. If you go over to Rabid Dog's channel, he does this video. It's actually quite amazing. He is able to take his software and zoom in all the way into the high definition footage, into the window before the big silver SUV pulls up beside Debbie Collier's van. He's able to zoom nearly all the way in, and you can actually see Debbie in the car. You can see her. You can see her movements. You can see everything. So we also received the new footage of her coming into the parking lot, right? Not just leaving the parking lot, but now we also have access to entering the parking lot. I think that is interesting. I believe it was Scott. Was it Scott Rice? No, maybe not. Maybe I don't remember. Somebody showed the new footage of her entering, and she pulls in and she stops in one parking space. She sits there long enough for there to be some sort of exchange, interaction with someone that may be in the car with her. And then she ultimately pulls up into the parking space that is right in front of the door. It's almost like she tried to park further out in the parking lot and then got redirected to go right up to the door. And then she goes in. And when she goes in, she legitimately looks like she has not got a care in the world. I mean, she just looks normal. But we can agree that the things that she purchased were not exactly normal. Now, I can make a case for if you're going tailgating. If it's rainy, you're going to a football game or party. These are items that you could legitimately use. And perhaps, your husband says, "Oh, by the way, we need a lighter for the barbecue." But now we know that the game started at 4 o'clock. The game began at 4. And Steve Collier worked until 4. So at 4 o'clock, when the game is beginning, he's off the hook. He's not on the clock any longer. So there remains, I believe, in my opinion, according to the information that's been released publicly, I think it's fairly gray area where he was from 4 o'clock onwards, right? And I would make an assumption, which, you know what they say about making assumptions. Yeah, right? I might make the assumption if it were, most of the men I know, at 4 o'clock, he would have stopped parking cars and he would have gone to the game, which is probably why he stopped working at 4, would be my guess. Now, maybe not. Maybe he's not a football fan. Maybe he's just a great guy, a supporter of the university. Maybe he went to that university and graduated, and he's alumna, and he's there to help and support the team, the football program. And so he just goes and helps with parking the cars, but then he goes home. He doesn't care to go into the stadium with all his buddies and watch the game, whatever, right? So we don't exactly know publicly. We don't exactly know what his movements were once the game started and once he had completed parking cars that day. But my point in this is Debbie Collier, she bought some unusual items that did not seem to go together. A blue plastic tarp, a poncho, a torch lighter, like to light barbecue grills, and 2 rolls of paper towels. But if I were going to maybe commit murder, if I was going to walk someone to their final destination, commit the murder in place, those actually might be items that I would want on hand. I might want those items, first of all, cover myself in a poncho, for obvious reasons. Have a tarp to roll the body up in. Have a torch to start a forest fire, and then have paper towels to wipe down your fingerprints inside the vehicle that you're sitting in the far back, maybe with a firearm. No. Don't park here. Take that spot right in front of the door because I'm watching you. I will be watching you. And if you do anything unusual, if you alert anyone, I'm going to kill your daughter. So how is she going to go to a tailgating party at 4 o'clock? She's there at 3:17. How's she going to get back an hour to the ball game and tailgate? See the problem? If the game started at 4 and you're an hour away at 3, you're not going to tailgate party. Tailgate parties are over at that point. Well, I guess you got halftime if you go out to the parking lot to barbecue or whatever. All right, so so I think it's interesting that I have brainstormed and tried to come up with possibilities, and no matter which way I go, you know where I always end up? It's always back at Andrew's place. It's always right back with Andrew and Amanda. Always. Always. Now we know that Amanda had been living in Maryland. She was living in the same apartment complex as her brother. Her brother was quite vocal in the beginning, almost angry. The tone of his letter was similar to uh, other. Well, I don't want to bring up another person. Okay, so he sounds irritated. He sounds irritated that the story has gotten any press. He sounds irritated that people are discussing the death of Debbie Collier. And he's basically saying, don't bother me, don't talk to me, don't reach out to me. How dare you call me? So apparently, there are a lot of YouTube creators that call these families of crime victims and beg them to come on their show. I think that's a nightmare. Um, it never even occurred to me that people would be doing that. I don't know. It just seems exploitative. But anyway, that's the impression he's giving in his messaging is, you shouldn't be contacting us. You shouldn't be saying these things. You shouldn't be trying to talk to us and blah, blah, blah. What remains unclear to me, though, is if do we know if Andrew was in Maryland? Because I kind of get the feeling that he's not, right? Anyway, I think you don't ignore the fact that within whether Andrew is with her or she comes back by herself, either way, you cannot overlook, and I doubt very much that the police are overlooking, that she comes home and the rodeo begins, right? She comes home and there's a big disturbance and everybody can hear the screaming and the yelling and the fighting the night before. And then the rest, of course, is history. There's this period of time within 24 hours. It's Saturday, the day that Debbie Collier essentially does a lot of very unusual things right before she goes missing. And then at noon when she is found deceased. And all of this is heralded by the arrival of Andrew and Amanda. Interesting, right? Now they okay, this article says that they narrowed down the 22-hour window using the school speed zone camera and the store surveillance footage. And so they've got it narrowed down to that 22-hour window. So 12:44 officially was the last known time that she was alive. No, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. 3:19 on Saturday, which we've all known. 3:19 when she was last known to be alive. And then when they actually officially found her dead, it was 12:44 on Sunday. Now, there were some reports, I believe perhaps after the fact, that said that people saw the van in that little parking area, that people saw her at that location at 5 o'clock on Saturday, September 10th. So I think we can probably assume if her car is parked in the woods at 5 o'clock, just an hour and a half from leaving the Family Dollar store, she probably was already dead if the car was there at 5. We would assume, unless she parked there, someone picked her up, she went somewhere and spent the night. That's where she died, and somebody brought her back and dumped her. There's that possibility as well. Now, one of the things that's new is as of Thursday, um, the FBI has gotten on board, which I think is really positive development, right? So the FBI is on board at this point, and I do find it curious that they bypassed the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. They do have the city police working the case as well as the sheriff's department, which is county. So they had the Habersham County, they had the city police, and now they have the full FBI that's offering support. Now, I hate to be cynical here, but you guys know that I am. I don't think that the FBI has been much help. I don't think they were much help with Kylie Rodney. I don't think they were much help with Summer Wells. But I'm also not law enforcement. I'm not there looking at the evidence that they have. So I don't know. My opinion doesn't account for anything other than just conversation. But I do think FBI has access to technology and data, evidence collection, cross-state communication, things that the county and the city police wouldn't have. So I'm 100% on board. I think it's really great that they joined this investigation. I support it 100%. One thing that I find interesting as well is that she passes the Tallulah Falls School at 2:17 on Saturday, and then it's 38 minutes later that she arrives at the Family Dollar, and obviously that was way too much time for the couple of miles that it took to get to the Family Dollar store. And so that leads me to think that, those of you that have been talking about the possible connection to the rehab facility, you may be onto something. It would make it almost completes the timeline to consider that she went in to another store, or she went into the rehab, or she went down to a police station, or she talked to someone, and had, an exchange that 25 minutes or so. Maybe. I've also had a friend who gave the possibility, what if she kept driving because someone was following her? What if she was scared? What if she left her house? She had a different vehicle, perhaps hiding from someone. And when she leaves, she's being followed and she doesn't know what to do. So she just decides to keep driving. And that's why she passes $9 stores and ultimately ends up my calculation showed about 70 miles, but the news is reporting a little bit less than that. So was she just scared to stop is a question. Was she just driving to be driving? I don't know. I'm putting out all my thoughts. I don't know. But I will say this. The one I'm really leaning toward at this point, I'm really, really leaning toward somebody was in that van with her. If you look at Rabbit Dog's channel, you look at the video that he put up where he zooms in, and you can see very clearly through her car windows, and you can see the blue Mini Cooper that's on the other side of her. The car that I had been saying was white. Okay, it's not. It's a blue Mini Cooper, like a baby blue, Tiffany blue color. You can see all the way through. And when she comes back out of the store and she gets in the car, before that silver car comes and pulls up beside her, she looks to be hiding. That's what Rabbit is saying in his video. She looks like she's leaning far over and looking out the window, or perhaps trying to look at the rearview mirror. And right before the silver car pulls in beside her, she seems to like jump into the back seat. Not jump, but lean back into the back seat. So, you know, I just wonder if there was somebody that was in that car with her. It had the heavily blacked out windows. Is it possible that somebody had her, and after she went into the store and got the items and did everything, that was when they pulled her out of the driver's seat and into the back? You saw how the car was hesitating, going slow, pulled over, stopped, sent the Venmo. Could have been Amanda sending the Venmo. And then even trying to leave the parking lot, there was still that strange little S-curve that she was hesitant driving. She wasn't like purposefully driving out of the parking lot like she had a destination. It was like she was either having a conversation with someone, that there was something happening. You know, like if your kids are in the backseat of the car and they start arguing, you might put your foot on the brake and turn around and go, "What is wrong with y'all? You know, calm down," whatever. So it definitely seems like there's something happening that's a distraction to the driver, right? Now, and then I believe, because of the people that saw the car around 5:00, I believe something happened in that parking lot right after the Venmo was sent. Someone was in the car with her. That's where she died. And they started back toward home. And that's where they pulled in to dump her body. That's where I'm sort of at. Now, the things that make, Amanda Bearden smile is she happy that the FBI is now taking the case? What do you think, Amanda? Is that a good day for you? Are you feeling really positive and good about that? I would also think that it would make Amanda Bearden really, really happy that this case has gotten a great deal of attention across the world and being discussed on the streets of YouTube. I think that is something that would make Amanda Bearden very happy. And you know why I think that would make her really happy? Because if it was my mom, if it was my family member, if it was my best friend, I would be happy that the FBI was involved. I would be deeply, deeply grateful that the whole world was talking about the horrible thing that happened to my mom, because I would want the pressure on the criminals, like the people that hurt my mom. I would want the pressure. I would be begging every YouTube channel, please tell my mother's story. Please, 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 please. I would go to every TV station. Please tell my mother's story. Please interview me. Interview my dad, or in this case, my stepdad. We want her story out there. And I would be so grateful. Right, Lindsay? Be grateful that people want the person that harmed your child to be captured. Yeah? So I find it interesting that on the day that they located Debbie Collier, along with the items that she had purchased in the Family Dollar store. She's located on Highway 441, uh, Federal Highway 441, Georgia State Highway 15. She's just south of the Victory Home Lane in Tallulah Falls. They find the car. They walk into the woods a quarter of a mile, and they find her body in a crime scene in disarray. There's charred remains, pieces of wood burned. There's bits of the tarp burned. What appears to be the red bag, maybe her red shirt, and she herself has some charred area around her abdomen. Did they try to start a forest fire? Did they try to burn the evidence, to obscure the crime that was committed? I mean, this was a confusing and complicated crime scene. And so somehow or another, the family is alerted, right? They call Debbie and Steve and they say, hey, we found her on Highway 441, right there at the Victory Home exit. And so my question, did Amanda and Steve hop in their car and rush up there to see what was going on, find out what the story was? Now, if you didn't know, if you were confused, you're thinking, well, why the hell is she on the side of the road? Like, what is that about? What's she doing a mile away from here? And you show up and you walk up and you're kind of watching and you're looking. Your brain is trying to make sense of something that is so out of the ordinary, something so unexpected. And your brain is just looking at every little detail, watching the faces of the police, looking to read into any little nuance, body movement that you see of the investigators. Right? Well, that's exactly what Steve Collier was doing. He's standing in the rain. He has an umbrella he's holding over his head. Well, you would think that if Steve Collier knew that his wife was dead, lying out in the woods, you wouldn't think he'd be too worried about getting wet, right? He would be in grief. He would be in that state of shock where something like rain would have not registered in his mind. He's standing there with an umbrella, his hand in his pocket. He's sort of watching what's going on. He's having a couple of exchanges with the sheriff's deputies and whatnot, but he's watching them. He's watching the cops. He's watching out in the woods with just this look of curiosity on his face. Like, what the hell is going on? Did she jump out of her car and start running? Is she lost out in the woods? Like, what's going on? That's the impression I get when I see this. I don't see a guy who's afraid. I don't see a guy who's scared. But let's talk about Amanda for a second. What would you do if it was your mom? If you had gotten this cryptic message, they won't let me go, and she sends you $2,400 and you have zero idea why she's giving you this cash. Like, what? Why are you giving me this money? Mom, are you crazy? And then they find her car on the side of the road. And they call and they say, hey, we got the car. It's here. And then you get there. Aren't you going to be talking to the cops? What's going on? What happened? Where is she? Have you found her? Is she lost? What's going on? Not this little chickadee. No. Things that make Amanda Bearden smile. Well, I think Amanda Bearden would have been smiling if the press were not there. That's right. So as Steve Collier stands back with his umbrella, watching with great interest and curiosity all that's happening, calm as a cucumber, Amanda Bearden is jumping up and down, making a spectacle of herself, hurling expletives, dropping F-bombs, screaming, yelling, cursing. And who is it that she's cursing at? The local newspaper. The local little television channel, the Now Habersham. Just the local town news that are there to report on this strangely developing situation. She is demanding with the cops to remove the press, remove the news people, get them out of there. Why, Amanda? Why? Why would you want to get them out of there? Your mother is missing. Wouldn't you want her face, her story, the details of the location of the car? Wouldn't you want that in everybody's eyes and ears so that they could say, hey, wait a minute, I totally saw that woman walking down the road. I saw her walking down the highway. Let me call the cops. Right? No. Not Amanda. No. It seems like we should name her Hurricane Amanda. You know what I mean? Because Amanda seems to come just whooshing into town, screaming and yelling and fighting, and now whooshing down or up to Tallulah Falls. Same thing, screaming and whooshing and yelling. What is going on with this girl? She is so erratic. She is so aggressive. She seems to be so impulsive. Why? Well, perhaps you might have thought that her death, your mother's death, would simply be handled by the local police. That it would quickly be deemed some sort of suicide and you would be in the clear. Maybe having your mom's story on TV, having it on the news, the national news, having YouTubers discussing it ad nauseum, then you run into the problem of a lot of other people seeing the story. A lot of other people remembering who Amanda is. Oh, yeah, I saw that chick in Maryland. Let me tell you about her. It seems to me that she's out there on the side of the road screaming and yelling at the news people. And we're talking about local news. It's not Fox News. This is local news. Now Habersham. You can go to their website, nowhabersham.com. She's looking at the police and she is demanding from them to get rid of the press. Instead of, no, don't worry about them. They mean nothing. Go find my mom. Right? Now, look, things are looking very bad for Amanda, and there remains questions about Andrew per se. And I wonder a bit if the police are not intentionally withholding the information, the facts they have about Andrew, because he's sort of their primary person of interest. We do know he's had 6 arrests in like 18 months. Right? And in that arrest are drug charges as well as domestic battery. So the thing that troubles me about Andrew is this. When you watch the clips of him talking to the police, he seems to be lying. The things he's saying seem to be lies, and the officer that's talking to him also seems to feel like what he's saying is not true. He says things like, "Well, why are you not supposed to be around her, Andrew? Were you arrested, Andrew?" Like he uses Andrew's name in a real pointed way to sort of question, like, we don't believe what you're saying, kid. And I think that's really important, especially when you consider Andrew's mother. Andrew's mother is in jail, basically a life sentence. And you think to yourself, holy hell, who did she kill? Like, she must have murdered someone to be in jail for life, right? No, she is in jail for life for being a habitual drug trafficker. You're slinging big time drugs if you get a life sentence for meth. Like, you've been caught a lot. You've been in jail a lot for a judge to finally give up on you and say, okay, I'm done. This woman has spread so much death and destruction through this poison. I'm finished. She doesn't deserve to be out in the world with regular human beings. And he gives her a life sentence, right? Use your imagination. What kind of life, what kind of environment did Andrew grow up in? If his mother is at a point where a judge gives up on her and sends her to prison for life for drugs, not for a violent crime like murder. Now, I happen to think meth and fentanyl, that is, it should be treated as a violent crime. It's poisonous and it feels evil to me. So it wouldn't be unusual if you consider what that type of environment might have looked like, the types of people that were coming in and out of Andrew's life when he was a little boy, the experiences that he could have possibly had as a young person. It wouldn't be unusual to me to think that he had grown up with a special skill set that most people don't develop, which is basically sociopathy, a disconnect between your emotions and your experience. That when you hurt someone, torture someone, it gives you pleasure. I'm talking about sociopathy, not psychopathy. That there is emotion there, but it's all mixed up, turned upside down, and wrong. It's a very strange situation, if you would agree. It's a very strange situation that somebody would connect their bank account with a girlfriend's bank account, and the girlfriend has proven that she will steal your money from your bank account, and you allowed her to do that. You just keep letting her do it, and you use it as your catalyst for going over and raising holy hell. Showing up at her house at 7:00 in the morning, screaming and yelling like a banshee, hitting and banging on the door so you can go and scream, "You stole $500 more. You owe me $3,000. And then what happens the next month? Show up again. "You stole $500. Now you owe me $3,500. Yada, 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 yada. When a normal, stable person would break up and say, oh gosh, my bank account is connected to her ability to access my funds, I better go and get that taken care of. And you go to the bank and you take your card off. But in his case, he seemed to use it as an invitation for a monthly or a bi-weekly fight. Ho, ho, ho. I get paid on Friday. rodeo's on. And maybe through this trauma bonding, where Amanda violates Andrew by stealing his money when he gets paid, and then Andrew responds by coming over and terrorizing Amanda, then they'd have crazy monkey wild makeup sex. And it doesn't have to be a crazy monkey. Maybe it's a perfectly sane monkey, but it's still weird, wild, off the wall kind of makeup sex, right? Okay. All right. Wild speculation on my part. Okay, so the Collier, just I saw some people talking about this the other day about the phone. Yes, they have Debbie Collier's cell phone, but it was smashed. And so when the cops recovered the cell phone, it was damaged and it was not working. But that doesn't mean that they cannot get the chip out of it and access it through another means. So they have her information. So I kind of think I sort of think that the cops I kind of think that the cops know who they're going after, right? And by bringing the FBI in on the case, that opens up an easy avenue of communication with who? Maryland, where she had been living. It gives them access to her brother. So I think that we're beginning to get a really clear picture. I think that it wouldn't be, especially based on the way that Andrew grew up and the fact that Amanda seemed to have developed a problem with drugs from a young age. I think it wouldn't be wild speculation, perhaps a little bit of speculation, to say probably likely that Amanda and Andrew were in contact with real drug dealers, the real ones, the ones that cut your ears off, right? Um, in Maryland, I think they got involved in a bad group and they were stupid because they were high. And then they ran away in fear for their lives. And they showed up at the doorstep of Debbie, who is a sweetheart, not a woman engaging in high risk behavior. Steve Collier, not a man who engages in high risk behavior. The man is at the stadium working with the alumni to park cars for a football game. This is not a hardened criminal, people. Amanda now says, "Oh, I got the message from my dear mother and I was frightened. They won't let me go, Amanda. Here, take my last dollar. I know you don't need it, but take it anyway." Oh yeah, there's a key under the door. So you can go into Steve's house and you can rummage around up in my bedroom until Steve comes home from parking cars at the college football game. It's so ridiculous. The story is so ridiculous, what Amanda is saying. It's ridiculous. So she tells the cops, "Oh, I was so worried when I got the text. I was so worried." Right? Yeah. I'm the one that received the money. Yes, I am the one that accessed the money. Okay, well, where is it now? Like, what'd you do with it? Well, I don't know. I lost it. Okay. I'm not laughing that what happened to Debbie is funny. It is it's a parent's worst nightmare. How many people across this great continent have had children get involved with a bad group of people that are accessing these frightening types of drugs, And at night, when the parents are trying to go to sleep, they're having this conversation. My God, what are we going to do if a drug dealer shows up on our doorstep? Should we sell our home and should we move and not tell our kids where we live so that we don't have to deal with their drug dealer? Those conversations happen. Trust me. So, Amanda, I know it would make you smile if the law enforcement would just say, "Oh, it was all just a big accident. She went for a little walk in the forest. She tripped over a log. She got mad at the log. She cut it off so the next person doesn't trip. And then she accidentally fell. And when she fell, her thumb accidentally pressed the lighter so that it ignited. And as she's lying on top of it, it catches her clothes on fire." That I know that's what you. Oh, it was all a horrible accident. So sorry. I know that would make you smile, but Amanda, I'm thinking you're not going to be smiling by the time this is all over. I think you and Andrew have a problem, and I think it's about to all come out in the wash. Your stepfather, Steve Collier, was on the scene showing interest in what the police were doing. He seemed confused about what the scene that was playing out in front of him. He was calm and he was watching with interest. You, on the other hand, seemed like a woman creating a distraction. You reacted like a woman that was in a panic and was trying to silence others. Oh, we're back at that again. Oh, there's honor in silence. No, there's no honor in silence when someone is dead. Silence is a cover up when someone has died. No, there is no honor in silence. And that is probably the last thing that we know of that would make Amanda Bearden smile, is if she could have silenced Now Habersham, if she could have silenced the YouTubers talking about Debbie. And it would have made her smile if she could have silenced her aunt, Debbie Collier's sister. All right. Okay, I'm done. Let me read some comments here. They really messed up leaving Debbie's car at the scene. Thank you, Cinnamon, for leaving Rabbit's link. I'm telling you guys this, y'all. If y'all are interested in this case, you must go over and watch that video that Rabbit did so that you can see into her car. You can see her reacting. You can see her looking around. Something happened in that car as that silver car, big SUV is pulling in beside her. Something happened. I think she got pulled into the back seat. That's what I think happened. So please go over. I toyed with the idea of showing you a little bit of it on my channel, but I said, no. This is Rabbit's. I haven't seen anybody else do this on any of the YouTube channels. So go over and look. It's worth it. Subscribe. You know, he puts out great. He does. He puts out great videos. He's a really intelligent guy. He's very rational and measured. And so his videos are organized, and go take a look. You'll be glad you did. If you're interested in this case, you'll be glad you went over and looked at the video, because it's pretty shocking. Yeah, the devil went back to Georgia, right, Laura? And she was looking for a soul to steal. Let's see. This is also they will have disappeared Debbie forever if it wasn't for the cop who stopped and the rental car. Mommy Dearest sent people for the hit, and she helped organize the whole thing. This was well organized. Liza Rowe is is hitting on something important here. That did go through my mind, and I just kind of I think it felt too what Hollywood, right? It felt too contrived, perhaps. But I think Liza Road to Waller Bridge. It's like the Titanic, right? Yeah. Okay. Liza Road D Waller Bridge. Why, Jack? You're so stupid. You jump, I jump. Okay. My autism is showing. Okay. Um, okay, so Liza is saying that Mommy Dearest, not Debbie. She's not calling Debbie Collier Mommy Dearest. Who's she calling Mommy Dearest? Andrew's mother. You know, the one that's in prison for life because she has been caught as a big time drug dealer. So Mommy Dearest, meth head extraordinaire, she is in jail for the rest of her life. And then Liza said, okay, I'm gonna read it. Mommy Dearest, Andrew's mom, sent people for the hit. She helped organize the whole thing. This was well organized. And they will have disappeared Debbie forever if it wasn't for the cop who stopped and the rental car. So, yeah, and I also think it was a game changer, the Family Dollar video, right? Because then when they ran across the Family Dollar video, now the cops know, aha, we have her. She's here. And then after that is when they found the footage, the photograph on the school camera. And so they then knew, well, she's at least been here. Where is she? And so they really began searching and looking, right? They used the Sirius XM radio that was in the rental car, and they got the exact GPS location of the car. So so it was well organized, and if it had not been for the modern technology, it's likely they never would have found her. Right? So the question then becomes, if Andrew's mom calls the hit, and she's got the kind of friends that do that sort of thing, right? If Andrew's mom calls the hit, the question has to be why? Why does she call a hit on Amanda's mom? What do y'all think? I have an idea, but I'm just going to let you guys talk. Crime stuff. All right. You guys have a wonderful Saturday. And we will be back. Remember, we got the FBI joining in to the investigation. I believe it opens up access to information coming out of Maryland, maybe Virginia. I think that it wouldn't be unusual. It wouldn't be shocking to find out that Andrew's mother may have some connection to what ultimately happened to her. I do feel that there will be arrests in the near future, and I think we know who it's going to be. All right. Y'all have a wonderful evening. And please remember, this has been a long chat. Please remember, Rabbit Dog, his video, zooming in where you can see into Debbie Collier's car. You can see her. You can see the blue Mini Cooper on the other side of her car. You've got to go watch that video. You must go watch that video. Now, me and Rabbit differ a little bit on what we think was going on inside of that van with Debbie Collier, but go watch it. Go watch it, form your own opinions, and maybe we can come back later on and have a talk about it. But we must watch that video because it's eye-opening. Like when you can see her behavior in that car, you know things were not calm. Something was happening. All right? Okay, people. Y'all have a great, happy, wonderful, sunshiny Saturday afternoon. I will be back. All right. Okay. I don't know what I'll do next. Maybe I'll watch a movie. All right. Y'all have a good day. Bye.